I want you to imagine this for a moment. John, a 72-year-old retired teacher, sits quietly in his favorite armchair, holding a book in his lap, but he's not reading. His eyes stare off into the distance, and there's a look on his face, not sadness exactly, but something softer, more searching. He's been feeling lately like his mind just isn't as sharp as it used to be. Names slip away. Words dance on the edge of his tongue, just out of reach. He worries quietly to himself. Is this normal aging? Is it something worse? What John doesn't realize is that his concerns are shared by millions of people over 60, maybe even by you. But here's the part that might surprise you the most. There's a hidden, intimate connection between brain health and something most seniors rarely talk about, something often wrapped in layers of shame or misunderstanding. Masturbation. Yes, you heard me right. And I'm here, as someone who has spent decades walking alongside patients through their most personal health journeys, to tell you that this connection is real, powerful, and worth exploring. Because what we're talking about today isn't just about sexuality, it's about your mind, your memory, your focus, your very sense of who you are. So let's start right here, in the quiet space where you and I are sitting together, heart to heart. Let's gently peel back the old stories, the cultural taboos, the myths you might have grown up believing, and look at what's actually happening inside your brain, and how something as simple and natural as masturbation can support its health in ways you may never have imagined. Your brain, after all, is not a static organ. It's a living, breathing, dynamic system, constantly rewiring itself, adapting, reshaping, learning. Every thought, every feeling, every experience you have leaves its mark. And one of the most important factors in how well your brain functions, especially as you age, is the flow of blood and oxygen it receives. Here's where the story takes an intriguing turn. During sexual arousal, including during masturbation, your body doesn't just respond locally, it sets off a cascade of physiological changes throughout your entire system. Your heart rate increases, your blood vessels dilate, your brain receives a surge of oxygen-rich blood, and neurochemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins flood your nervous system. These are the same chemicals involved in pleasure, reward, learning, and emotional bonding, and they play a crucial role in keeping your brain resilient, flexible, and vibrant. I remember one patient, Ellen, a 69-year-old artist who came to see me after experiencing what she called mental dullness. She felt like she was in a fog, like her creativity had dried up, like she couldn't tap into the spark that once defined her. As we talked through her life, her habits, her health, I gently asked about her relationship with her own body. Ellen paused, surprised. She hadn't thought about self-pleasure in years. "Oh, that part of my life is over," she said, half laughing, half sad. But over the weeks that followed, we explored together how reconnecting with her sensuality might not only lift her mood but support her brain. And you know what happened? Ellen discovered that when she approached her own body with kindness, with curiosity, with a sense of play, she didn't just feel more alive, she felt sharper, more focused, more creatively engaged. Her fog lifted, her art blossomed again, and she told me, "I feel like I've woken up." Now, you might be wondering, how can something so private, so personal, have such a profound effect on the brain? The answer lies in how deeply interconnected your body's systems are. Sexual activity, even solo, stimulates regions of the brain associated with memory, emotion, decision-making, and reward. It enhances circulation, reduces stress, and triggers the release of hormones that protect brain cells from damage. But there's another layer here, one that touches the heart even more deeply. As we age, many of us face a quiet, creeping sense of disconnection from our own bodies, from our desires, from our sense of agency. We begin to feel invisible, not only to others but to ourselves. We stop reaching for what gives us joy, what makes us feel alive, what reminds us of who we are. And when that happens, it's not just the body that suffers, it's the brain, too. I once spoke with Harold, an 80-year-old widower who told me that after his wife passed, he felt like a part of his brain had gone silent. He was still active, still social, but he felt numb inside, like his inner world had dulled. When we talked gently about his sensual life, Harold admitted he hadn't touched himself in years. He'd simply shut that door, thinking it no longer mattered. But as we worked together, Harold began to understand that his sensuality wasn't just about sex, it was about connection, about self-expression, about engaging with life. And as he began to explore that part of himself again, Harold found that his mood lifted, his thoughts became clearer, and he felt more fully himself. This is the hidden connection I want you to hold on to as we continue. Masturbation after 60 isn't just about momentary pleasure. It's about supporting the very foundation of your brain's health, keeping your mind engaged, your emotions balanced, your sense of self alive. In the next part of our conversation, we're going to dive deeper into the science, but don't worry, I'll keep it simple and human, never dry or academic. We'll explore the specific brain regions activated during sexual arousal, the role of neurochemicals in memory and mood, and the surprising ways that self-pleasure can act as a kind of exercise for your brain. We'll also talk about the emotional barriers many people face, the quiet fears, the lingering shame, the old wounds, and how you can begin gently healing those, one step at a time. So stay with me. Take a slow, deep breath, feel the quiet strength of your own presence, and know this, you are not just aging, you are evolving. Your brain is still capable of growth, of renewal, of brilliance. And you, dear friend, are worthy of every ounce of pleasure, connection, and vitality your beautiful life has to offer. Meet me in the next chapter, where we'll continue this journey of discovery together. Welcome back, my dear friend. I'm so glad you've stayed with me on this journey because what we're talking about today matters in ways that go far beyond the surface. You've already taken such an important step by opening yourself to this conversation, a conversation that most people shy away from, even though it holds the power to change the way you experience yourself, your health, and your life. When we left off, we were exploring how masturbation after 60 connects not just to the body, but to the brain, how it lights up regions of memory, emotion, and decision-making, how it sends a cascade of feel-good chemicals rushing through your system, how it nourishes your brain with the oxygen and nutrients it needs to stay sharp and resilient. But now, let's go deeper. Let's look at what's actually happening inside that extraordinary organ of yours, and why this connection is so much more profound than just a fleeting rush of pleasure. You see, the brain is a living, changing landscape. Even now, in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, your brain is constantly reshaping itself. This is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, to adapt, to heal, to grow. And what fuels that process? Stimulation, engagement, novelty, pleasure. When you experience sexual arousal, whether with a partner or on your own, your brain lights up in a way that's both complex and beautifully orchestrated. The limbic system, which governs emotion and memory, becomes active. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and focus, sharpens its activity. And the brain's reward centers, rich in dopamine receptors, flood with a sense of satisfaction, joy, and connection. I remember a patient, June, who came to me at 73 feeling deeply discouraged. She'd been noticing a decline in her memory, forgetting appointments, losing track of conversations, struggling to focus on books she used to love. We explored many factors, her diet, her sleep, her medications. But we also talked about something she hadn't considered, her sensual life. June had assumed that part of her identity was over, tucked away in the past. But as we talked about the brain's response to sexual stimulation, she became curious. What if touching herself wasn't just about pleasure? What if it was about keeping her brain alive, engaged, responsive? With time, June began to gently explore, and what she found was remarkable. She didn't just feel more relaxed, she felt sharper. She described a sense of waking up, of reconnecting with a part of herself she hadn't realized she was missing. She even laughed and told me, "I feel like I'm flirting with life again." And that, my friend, is what I want you to hear. Masturbation after 60 isn't just a private act. It's a way of engaging with your vitality, your spark, your capacity to feel alive in the world. Let's bring in some light science, just enough to deepen your understanding without overwhelming you. During sexual arousal and orgasm, the brain releases a cocktail of neurochemicals: dopamine, the pleasure molecule, oxytocin, the bonding hormone, serotonin, the mood stabilizer, and endorphins, the natural painkillers. Together, these chemicals don't just create a fleeting sense of euphoria, they help regulate mood, support memory, reduce anxiety, and even protect brain cells from damage. For people over 60, this chemical boost can be especially important. As we age, the natural production of some of these neurochemicals slows down, which can contribute to feelings of depression, anxiety, or cognitive decline. But here's the hopeful part. Activities that stimulate pleasure and connection, including masturbation, can help replenish these chemicals naturally, giving your brain the nourishment it craves. I once had a conversation with Thomas, an 80-year-old man who had been struggling with feelings of isolation. He lived alone, his children were grown and busy, and while he maintained some social ties, he admitted that most days felt lonely. We talked about how loneliness isn't just an emotional experience, it's a neurological one. The brain craves connection, and when it's deprived of it, it suffers. I gently suggested that reconnecting with his own body might be a form of self-connection, a way to remind himself that he was still here, still whole, still worthy of touch and care. At first, Thomas was hesitant. He worried it was silly, or shameful, or somehow wrong. But over time, he allowed himself to explore, to approach his body with kindness, with patience, with a sense of curiosity rather than judgment. And what he discovered was transformative. Not only did his mood lift, but his mental sharpness improved. He became more engaged in his hobbies, more enthusiastic in his conversations, more confident in his daily life. He told me, with quiet wonder, I thought I was just getting old. I didn't realize I'd been starving a part of myself. And that's the truth I want you to carry with you now. Your sensual self is not a frivolous extra. It's part of your brain's ecosystem, part of what keeps you balanced, engaged, resilient. When you honor it, you honor your whole being. Of course, I know that for many of you, this journey isn't just about biology, it's about emotion, about history, about the messages you've absorbed over a lifetime. Maybe you were raised in a culture or a family where sexuality was taboo, where touching yourself was seen as shameful or wrong. Maybe you carry memories of rejection, or trauma, or loss that make it hard to approach this part of yourself with openness. Maybe you simply feel out of practice, unsure of where to begin. If that's you, I want you to hear this with every ounce of warmth and compassion I can offer. You are not broken. You are not too old. You are not too late. The path to reclaiming your sensuality is not about perfection or performance, it's about presence. About meeting yourself where you are, with gentleness, with patience, with a willingness to rediscover the joy of being alive in your own skin. In the next and final part of our conversation, we're going to bring everything together, the science, the stories, the emotions, and I'll offer you practical steps for how to begin, or deepen, your relationship with your own sensuality. We'll talk about creating a supportive environment, listening to your body's signals, and letting go of any lingering shame or fear. And we'll close with a message of hope and empowerment, because you, dear friend, deserve to walk forward into the golden years of your life with confidence, with joy, and with the radiant, unapologetic love that comes from truly embracing yourself. So stay with me. Take another slow, deep breath, feel the quiet power within you, and know that you are on a journey of healing, of growth, of rediscovery. Meet me in the next chapter, where we'll unlock the final keys to supporting your brain, your heart, and your spirit through the simple, beautiful act of self-care. Welcome back, my dear friend. I'm so grateful you've stayed with me to this final part of our journey together, because what we're about to explore ties everything together, not just the science or the stories, but the heart of why this conversation matters so much. You've already shown such courage, such openness, such willingness to look at yourself with new eyes, and that alone is something to celebrate. But now, let's bring it all home, to the practical, the emotional, the deeply human steps you can take to support your brain, your body, and your spirit as you move forward. We've talked about how masturbation after 60 supports brain health by increasing blood flow, by releasing neurochemicals that protect and nourish your mind, by lighting up the emotional and cognitive centers that keep you sharp and engaged. But I want to remind you now that none of this works in isolation. You are not just a brain, or a body, or a list of symptoms. You are a whole person, a beautiful, complex, evolving human being. And the real power of reconnecting with your sensuality lies not just in the physical benefits, but in the emotional and spiritual healing it offers. So how do you begin, or deepen, this journey in a way that feels safe, nourishing, and meaningful? First, I want to invite you to set aside the old stories. Maybe you were raised to believe that touching yourself was shameful, or that sexuality has an expiration date, or that aging means shutting down parts of yourself. Those beliefs may have shaped you, but they do not define you. You are allowed to rewrite the script. You are allowed to claim a new narrative, one where you are still vibrant, still sensual, still fully alive. I remember a patient named Margaret, a 77-year-old woman who had spent most of her life caring for others. She was a mother, a wife, a caretaker, a volunteer, always putting everyone else first. But when she found herself alone in her later years, she realized she didn't know how to care for herself, especially in the intimate sense. We worked together slowly, gently, helping her approach her body not with judgment or fear, but with curiosity, with tenderness, with gratitude. Over time, Margaret discovered that self-touch wasn't just about pleasure, it was about reconnecting with her own worth, her own aliveness. She told me one day, with quiet wonder, "I feel like I've come back home to myself." And that, my friend, is what I want for you. I want you to know that masturbation isn't just a physical act, it's a practice of self-love, of self-care, of honoring the extraordinary gift of being alive in this body, at this moment, in this chapter of your life. From a practical standpoint, here's how you might begin. Find a time and space where you feel safe and unhurried. Maybe it's in the evening, when the house is quiet, or in the morning, when the day is just beginning. Set the mood in a way that feels comforting, dim the lights, put on soft music, light a candle if you like. Approach your body gently, without expectation or agenda. Let your hands explore not just the obvious places, but the overlooked ones, your face, your arms, your chest, your thighs. Notice where you feel warmth, where you feel tension, where you feel curiosity. Let yourself be present. If emotions come up, and they might, welcome them. Maybe you'll feel sadness for the years you've spent disconnected from yourself. Maybe you'll feel joy at the rediscovery of something long forgotten. Maybe you'll feel a mix of many things. That's okay. All of it is part of the process, part of the healing, part of the journey back to wholeness. And remember, this isn't about performance or achieving a goal. It's about connection. It's about reminding yourself that you are still a vessel of pleasure, of vitality, of beauty. And when you engage in this kind of mindful self-touch, you're not just supporting your brain health, you're supporting your emotional well-being, your sense of agency, your confidence, your joy. I want to leave you with the story of Carlos, an 81-year-old man who once told me he felt like a ghost in his own life. He had stopped dating after his wife passed, had withdrawn from social activities, and felt like his world had shrunk to the walls of his home. When we talked about his health, I gently invited him to consider reconnecting with his sensuality. He was skeptical at first, even embarrassed. But over time, as he allowed himself to explore, to awaken that part of himself again, something remarkable happened. He began to smile more. He began to engage with friends again. He even joined a local choir, something he'd always wanted to do. And he told me, with tears in his eyes, I didn't realize how much of myself I'd shut away. That, dear friend, is the power of embracing your full humanity. You are not done growing. You are not done discovering. You are not done loving, including loving yourself. Masturbation after 60 is not a trivial thing. It is a doorway, a bridge, a lifeline to the parts of you that are still longing to be seen, to be touched, to be cherished. So as we close this conversation, I want to invite you, gently, lovingly, to take one small step today. Maybe it's setting aside a few minutes to simply be with yourself, to touch your own skin with kindness. Maybe it's looking in the mirror and saying, I am still here, and I still matter. Maybe it's sharing your thoughts or experiences in the comments below, connecting with others who are on this journey with you. And if this conversation has touched you, if it has sparked something in your heart, I warmly invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more conversations about living fully, vibrantly, joyfully in the golden years of life. You are part of a community here, a circle of people who believe that aging is not a diminishing, it is an unfolding, a blooming, a deepening into the most radiant, authentic version of who you are. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Remember that your brain, your body, your spirit are all worthy of love, of attention, of celebration. You are not just aging, you are evolving. You are not just surviving, you are thriving. And I am honored, truly honored, to walk alongside you on this beautiful, courageous journey. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to meet you again in the next chapter.